Summertime already, I'm planning to go into the bush with just a blanket pack and no food at all. To bring only the basic tools and live off the land. I finally found some time to do it. It was supposed to be 5 days trial just to see if my knowledge of the wild edibles is sufficient for self-reliance in the bush. I found about 5 days free to go into the mountains, into wilderness, because there is no real wilderness in this part of the world. It's all villages, and between the villages there is some wilder part of the mountains. And I decided this trip to be minimalistic. I decided to take only a blanket pack, and a blanket pack is basically a wool blanket with some necessities packed inside. So I'm gonna show you what I packed inside of the blanket. And I also have on myself this survival pouch. I have a camera, and in this I carry a tripod. I hang it on my blanket pack together with a bottle. These are the straps of a gun, AK-47 something, and I bought them at the flea market. They're really practical. You get these through the blanket, and you put the straps on. So these are my essentials. It's a map. This is a spare t-shirt. It's a bandana to wear it around the head, or to use it as a towel. It's a toothbrush and baking powder, and these are my spare wool socks. This is a homemade hammock, homemade tarp. This is, I don't know how long, a piece of paracord, rope, some more rope, a knife, a rain poncho, foldable saw. I didn't bring any food for my 5-day trip because I am hoping to eat what I find. Today I ate a lot of different berries, some leafy greens. Juniper berries. You can eat them raw, or you can use them to spice up food.
Usocoparia. It's bitter, but edible. Actually, I like the taste. After the first frost, it becomes really sweet, and it's great for jams and things. There's a lot of them. This is willow herb. It looks like willow, and the part that we eat is the heart of the plant. Is this soft part. It's real sweet. I could get used to this. We can use it if we want. It's great. We can use it if we're cooking in nature and we don't have flour and we want to add it to the soup or something. We can use this. We can put it inside. It's great. You can also eat stinging nettle. This one is pretty old, so it's not that tasty, but you can find younger ones like this through the whole year. And if you're careful and touch it just with this part of the hand, it will not sting you. It will sting your mouth though. So what you do is this. Now you can eat it, and it's really tasty. It's really tasty. It's just that for my taste, I can't eat a lot of it. I found a big mushroom, chicken of the woods. This is Lepidopterus sulphureus, or the chicken of the woods. It grows in clusters. It grows on the tree always. It's never conifer trees, or rarely. I've picked the smaller one. It's orange on the outside and yellow on the downside. It's highly edible, and it grows from 5th to 7th month, and then again from 8th to 10th month, so 2 times in a year. And there's no chance you can confuse it with non-edible kinds. And now it's time for me to set up my camp and cook dinner. I'm gonna hopefully eat that chicken of the woods.
I'm used to sleeping on the ground, actually on spruce beds and bedrolls, and this was my first time to camp with a hammock. I made it myself. It was a bit short even for my height, but rather comfortable. When making fire in the woods, you have to be very careful. Find a flat place with no roots and scrape off the dead leaves till you get to the ground. Never leave the fire unattended. After you're done, always extinguish it with water. You'll probably be able to find a plastic bottle discarded somewhere in the woods that you can use to get some extra water for safety reasons. After you've used the bottle, don't throw it back where you found it. Keep it with you till you find a way to dispose of it. It could also prove useful.
texture is totally chicken, but tasteless. Maybe it would help if I had salt or pepper or anything.
It gets extremely cold at about 2 in the morning. I decided to light a fire and move and sleep the rest of the night here. I improvised this in about, I don't know, 20 minutes. I found some pieces of wood over there. And I guess I'll be sleeping like this for the rest of the trip. I found some peppery milk caps. They're not that tasty, but they're great for spicing up the food. Perfect since my last meal lacked taste. They're bitter hot. They bleed the white milky sap when hurt. That's how you know it's peppery milk caps. Lick the milk and it should be bitter hot.
This is big parasol, and I simply love them. It's incredible. You can know that it's a parasol by the moving ring. This ring can move on the stalk. There is one poisonous kind of parasol, but if we break it, the head near the stalk, you can see that it's not changing. It should, if it was poisonous, it would change color to red.
I love bushcrafting and camping, but I'm not much of a hiker really. Nevertheless, next day I hiked for 12 hours straight. In the evening I felt almost sick, but I did eventually get just below the summit of the Treskovica mountain at some 7,000 feet, and that's where I camped. This was a crude camp. Earlier in the day my camera battery gone extremely low, so I decided to save for tomorrow. I was hoping for at least 2 shots from the summit and maybe even use my mobile to make some video, which was optimistic. I knew a bit of what to expect, but I did hope for at least 2 trees to set up my hammock and tarp. Another problem was chilling wind. At this altitude, it's never safe to assume a steady weather. I improvised. I was able to choose between a nice natural shelter between rocks, but on the cold ground, and sleeping in the open exposed to the wind, but on the nice natural spruce dwarf bed. I chose the latter. I was too tired for trying to insulate the ground myself, and I was hoping that this shrub will be sufficient, and it was. I wrapped up in my tarp, hammock, and wool blanket as in some kind of bivy bag. I never tried it before, but it worked. At one point in the night, I heard something scratching the tarp I was wrapped into. It could have been anything really, but when you wake up in the middle of the night on the Treskovica mountain, you think horned viper. They're the deadliest European snakes. Oh, if I only knew then how much I was wrong. I pretended I'm asleep. The scratching continued. So, I slowly took my torch and crawled out of my shelter. Last night was windy. It was really cold, so there was no possibility of fire because there was no wood and there was no trees to set up a shelter, so I made an improvised baby bag. And in the middle of the night, I heard something nibbling on my tarp. When I woke up, it was a grasshopper the size of my hand. I had to hit him with a torch so he stops. And I just finished listening to the 7 books of Harry Potter read by Stephen Fry. So I dreamt that Draco Malfoy sent grasshoppers to tear down my wall constantly, and it had to be constantly plastered by Ron Weasley, who had huge hands, and he was plastering it by his hands only. And I don't know if I was Harry Potter in this dream, but I was Harry Potter in some other dreams, so I probably was. Evo me na Treskovica. It's the only water spring in the region, so
really hard to get to. Someone made this plastic bottle on a stick so it's easier to get it. I drank my last sip of water last night, and that's when I was real thirsty, so now I guess I'm gonna drink about a liter and go find a way around the mountain.
Both of my batteries died on the third day, so I'm using as much clips as I have without any editing. This is just one of the lakes you can visit on the Traskovica mountain.